The insane true story of Albert Anastasia. The incredible true story of a mobster whose life was right out of a movie. Meet Albert Anastasia, an Italian immigrant who rose from poverty to become New York's most dreaded criminal. However, guess what? His opulent abode held a horrific secret, and his death was legendary. Who were the masked attackers who attacked his barbershop, and why did they execute him so brutally? The solution to this real-life mystery might just blow your mind. You know, the word anastasis in Greek means to rise. It's kind of ironic because it perfectly fits the name of this guy, Albert Anastasia. He went from being a poor kid without a father in Italy to becoming New York's most feared gangster, known as the Lord High Executioner because of his ruthlessness. So, Albert Anastasia, or Umberto Anastasio as he was born, had a tough start in life. His father passed away when he was just 10 years old, leaving his mother with 12 children to take care of. Can you imagine the struggle they must have faced? Things got really tough for them, and they realized that the older kids had to find work somewhere else to make ends meet. When he turned 15, Anastasia and some of his brothers decided to take a chance on a better life and hopped on an Italian freighter headed for New York. They finally reached the Brooklyn waterfront and quietly slipped away from the ship, ready to embrace their new life in the land of opportunity. But you know, with opportunities also come risks. The boys found jobs as longshoremen on the same docks they had arrived at. And guess what? They found themselves knee-deep in the shady world of the shipping industry, where the mob had a tight grip on things. Rumor has it that they even took a part of Anastasia's earnings as tribute. Anastasia's first encounter with the law. It happened back in March of 1921, when he got into a heated argument with another dock worker named George Torino. Things escalated, and Anastasia ended up stabbing Torino in the midst of the quarrel. As you can imagine, this was a serious crime, and young Anastasia was arrested and given the death penalty for murder. While he was sitting in Sing Sing, he made a decision to change his name from Umberto Anastasio to Albert Anastasia. Well, he did it to spare his family the shame of having a criminal relative, as his brother later recalled. Some folks say that Anastasia's demeanor and his knack for violence caught the attention of Jimmy the Shiv DeStefano, the house barber of Sing Sing. Quite a nickname, right? Anyway, Jimmy passed the word along to the up-and-coming mob boss, Lucky Luciano, who was looking for fresh blood and new ideas in the mafia. You see, the old mafia had these traditional ideas that only Sicilian folks with an impressive criminal background in Italy should join the ranks in the US. But Luciano seemed to be open to change, and he took an interest in Anastasia's potential. Now, it's not entirely clear whether it was just luck or Luciano's influence, but something happened that saved Anastasia from an early death. Around a year into his prison term, Anastasia's lawyer managed to get him a retrial due to some legal technicality. When he appeared in court again, guess what? 4 of the prosecution's witnesses had mysteriously vanished. The path Anastasia's life took after his first brush with the law. He really got a taste for the thrill of living outside the rules. He got deeply involved with the International Longshoremen's Association, which was a hotbed for all sorts of illegal activities, like racketeering and even It was a dangerous world he had stepped into. Not surprisingly, he landed in prison again in 1923, this time for being caught with an illegal firearm. But it didn't take long for him to be back on the streets, and when he came out, he found his way into the Brooklyn Mafia under the wing of Joe the Boss Masseria. However, it was crystal clear that Anastasia's true loyalty lay with Lucky Luciano, who was all about shaking up the old mafia ways and building a more inclusive criminal empire. Luciano wanted to collaborate with other ethnic syndicates, like the Jewish and Irish groups, for even bigger projects. Anastasia was ambitious and saw a big opportunity to prove his worth to Luciano. He presented himself as a man of muscle, an assassin ready to ensure Luciano's rise to the top, and boy did he deliver on that promise. In 1931, Luciano masterminded a cunning plan to eliminate Joe the Boss Masseria. He lured Masseria into a restaurant, and that's when Anastasia and a group of associates walked in and took matters into their own hands. They gunned down Masseria, putting an end to his reign and making way for the new generation of mafiosos. From that moment on, Anastasia was determined to play a significant role in the new order of things. His actions had spoken louder than words, and he had earned his place among the influential figures of the underworld. Anastasia was truly a force to be reckoned with. In 1932, he faced murder charges not once, but twice. However, both times the witnesses seemed to magically disappear, unwilling to testify against him. Lucky Luciano, now the most powerful figure in the American mafia, recognized Anastasia's talents and loyalty. As a reward, he entrusted Anastasia with leading Murder Incorporated, the notorious enforcement arm of the Cosa Nostra. Luciano also appointed Anastasia as the underboss of the Mangano crime family, which eventually evolved into the infamous Gambino clan. While others in the mafia faced arrests, prosecutions, and some even fled to Italy, Anastasia managed to remain untouched and unscathed. It's as if fate had its hand in his story. The people who could potentially spill the beans on him, like Abe Relis, the hitman from Murder Incorporated, who flipped to save his own life, all met mysterious and deadly accidents. Coincidence or something more sinister? We'll never know for sure. As time passed, Mangano and his brother were both killed, and although suspicions turned toward Anastasia, he was never convicted. Instead, he stepped into Mangano's shoes and became the boss of the crime family, leading it into a new era. The crime family even took on a new name, solidifying Anastasia's position at the peak of power. By the late 1940s, Anastasia had become a powerful figure, residing in a grand mansion in Fort Lee, New Jersey. This stucco and tile mansion offered breathtaking views of New York City, while providing a peaceful retreat away from the hustle and bustle. But, just like the man himself, this seemingly idyllic mansion concealed a darker side. It was rumored to have false walls, secret tunnels, and eerie basement rooms with floor drains used for, well, some rather disturbing activities, like dressing deer. Anastasia's son, Umberto Jr., once warned reporters not to get too close to the estate's fences, as they had guard dogs ready to protect their turf, and their bites were not to be taken lightly. However, as fate would have it, Anastasia's good fortune turned sour in 1952. The government targeted him for denaturalization due to discrepancies in his name and various criminal activities. They even charged him with tax evasion, and the evidence included mock-ups and blueprints of his sprawling estate, which exposed his false claims of having no income. While he was dealing with these legal Genovese crime family was plotting against him. They started getting cozy with one of Anastasia's capos, Carlo Gambino, indicating that the tide was turning against the once powerful gangster. But, caught up in his own problems and overconfident in his control, Anastasia failed to see the warning signs. And then, on October 25, 1957, his world came crashing down. Anastasia was chauffeured from his cliffside mansion into Manhattan in a 1957 Oldsmobile to visit his barber at the Park Sheraton Hotel. Seizing the opportunity, his bodyguard left to take a walk around the block, creating a perfect opening for what would happen next. It was a day that would go down in infamy in the world of organized crime. Anastasia was sitting in the barber's chair, facing the mirror, when suddenly, two masked hitmen burst into the shop. They wasted no time and fired a barrage of 10 shots at the stunned mob boss. Confused and disoriented, Anastasia tried to fight back and rush towards his assailants, but in his desperate attempt, he crashed right into the mirror. The killers left him lying on the barbershop floor, assuming he was dead, and swiftly vanished into the city. To this day, the identity of the assassins and the mastermind behind the hit remain a mystery, shrouded in mob lore and speculation. The public was shocked by the image of Anastasia's lifeless body, covered in towels, and the gruesome murder quickly became an iconic symbol of the violent interfamily wars that characterized the 1950s in the world of organized crime. With Anastasia's death, a nearly 3-decade-long reign came to an end, solidifying his status as one of the deadliest criminals in the history of the United States. His legacy continued to shape the criminal underworld, as the Gambino crime family, which he had helped establish, rose to prominence as the most powerful crime syndicate in the country, building upon the bloody foundation he had laid. Thanks for watching. If you like this story as much as we did, please like it and subscribe to our channel for more riveting tales from history's dark side. Stay tuned until next time.